Welcome to our September 2024 intermediate sampler here at Close to Home in Southington. You can bring in your completed August block beginning this Friday, September 13th through Monday, September 30th to get this September block kit free. So make sure you bring in your block at the right time. The All New England Shop Hop magazines are here. The Shop Hop has begun. It's for the entire month of September and October through 5 states. You can pick up your Passport magazines at any of the 3 close to homes, and it is a very handy reference magazine for all the shops for the New England area. We have a lot of used machines in stock. People are trading in. We service them, and we can offer them to you at a great price. So if you're interested in a used machine, you should come in and see what we have. One last note is Bernina is having a trade-in, any machine, any condition, and save 25% off the MSRP on a new Bernina. That ends September 30th. So hopefully we'll see you this month for a new machine, and certainly come in for your block. All right, so the block, let's take a look. It's ribbons. It's really a 9-patch when you look at it. We have our 4 corners, we have our center 4-patch, and then our north, south, east, and west points are a little bit tricky if you aren't paying really close attention to the fabrics. And we have left side folded corners, and we have right side folded corners. So we'll get into that, and I'll break it down for you so it'll be a little less, a little easier for you to understand. The peach fabric is going into the corner blocks. You need 8 2.5-inch squares. The white is cut into 4 2 7/8-inch squares, and you're going to draw a line on the wrong side of each white square. The remainder of your fabric is 8 2.5-inch squares, and those are going to be used in the north, south, east, west for our folded corner clippers ruler. And then last but not least, you're also given 4 of the color that make up the ribbons. Each of these 4 fabrics, you're going to cut 2 2.5 by 4.5, and then from the remaining piece of each of the fabrics, you're going to get 1 2 7/8 square and just 1 2.5. This is going to go in the centers. These are going to go in the corners for our half square triangles, and they're going to match up with the whites. So pretty easy half square triangles, folded corner clipper, nothing out of the ordinary. We have a really busy September, so hopefully you'll be able to get this block done in a reasonable short time. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut out each of my pieces. I've already drawn the lines on my 2 7/8-inch squares. These are going to finish at 2-inch half square triangles. Here's my 2.5s, my 2.5s. In each of these, I have my 2.5 by 4.5, my 2 7/8, and my 2.5, just like the cutting instructions showed. So each of these, we have our deep red, our coral, which a lot of people are calling orange, it's fine, the yellow, and the multi-brick. All right, so that's it. We'll go over our half square triangles first, because those are pretty much the easiest, and then we'll get into the trickier pieces, okay? So what I like to do is take my 2 7/8 white and match it up with my 2 7/8-inch color, right sides together. And we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch on either side of the 2 7/8-inch pieces. So each of these gets paired up with the color, and we're going to sew on either side. I'm going to just continue to sew these, all 4 of these. All right, and my very last one is the multi-brick. When I have these all sewn at 1/4 inch on either side of the line, I'm going to cut on the line, and what it's going to do is just going to separate these 2 pieces, just like this, and we're going to press toward the color. So in each of these we're going to get 2 half square triangles, and we're going to press toward the color. All right. We're going to grab our peach 2.5 inch squares. The easiest thing to do, I really like to, after I'm done pressing, is to trim away the dog ears. And again, you can just do this with a pair of scissors on each of the color. These are now 2.5 inch, finished at 2. All right. And we're going to put them with the points of the colors together, kind of like a butterfly, with the peach in each corner. And then we're going to sew this together, we're going to sew this together, and we're going to make a 4 patch. I like to press these toward the 2.5 inch peach. So this one's going to get pressed to that peach. This one's going to get pressed to this side, so they lock in the center. And I have a couple here as a sample. So make sure when you put these together, the last step that you do is really lock that seam in the middle and then press your seam open. All right, as you can see, I've pressed toward the colors, and then when I put them together, I matched my seam real tight, and I pressed them open. So you're going to do that with all 4 of those colors. Okay. So those are the corner pieces, and every one should be identical, the deep red to the deep red, the coral to the coral, yellow to yellow, etc., etc. Don't mix the half squares together. Just every 4 patch should be on the same color. The next one we're going to go is the super easy one, and that's the center block. So I had you cut these 2.5 inch pieces out of every single piece of the color in your kits as well. And there is a very specific way that the 4 patch needs to go together. So watch your directions very carefully. We're going to put the yellow, and then we're going to put the coral. That's my top row looking at me, yellow, coral, and then I have red and multi-brick. Okay, this is my center, and again, just like the half square triangles that we had, we're going to sew these 2 together at 1/4 inch, and these 2 together obviously at 1/4 inch, and this time we're going to press. You can press to the yellow, press to the brick is fine, and once again we're going to have this nice 4 patch matched in the center. Going to lock those seam allowances, and my very last seam that I did, I pressed it open. Just one of these, okay? And again, you're going to follow the directions as far as the colors: yellow, coral, deep red, and the brick. Easy peasy. All right, next one. So these are a little more complicated. Not that they're hard, but you can easily cut the wrong angle on each of these. You need to be able to cut. You'll notice that these red ones, one is cut folded up to the right corner, the other is cut and folded up to the left corner. So let's take a look at how to use that folded corner clipper ruler one more time. So I'll take my reds pieces. I have each of my whites are going to go on top. right sides together up at the tops. So each one of these is going to be done exactly the same way. So I'm going to take my folded corner clipper. I'm going to place it on the 2.5 inch mark, the blunt edge up at the top of my strip, my 4.5 inch strip, and also on top of my white. You'll notice that this comes right down exactly the side of my strip and the 2.5 mark at the bottom. So the first one I'm going to cut looking at it just like this, and I'm going to move that out of my way. All right, so this is going to get flipped in that direction. I do not want to do that again, but what I want to do is turn my folded corner clipper to the side, place the blunt edge of the folded corner clipper along the side of my strip, the 2.5 along the side, and that way when I cut my angle, this one is now going to flip to the left corner. This is flipping to the right, this is flipping to the left. So as soon as you make these, what you've done is you have a pair that are pressed toward the white. They're all pressed out toward the white, but you don't want to sew those together. That would be easy. So you're going to take your pieces that you've done. You have all your yellow, and all these are opposites. We have the coral to the right, to the left, the yellows, and this. So check very, very carefully on the directions, because the yellow is going to be lined up with the brick. Okay. And then the brick is going to be lined up with the yellow. So opposites, and as you can see, we have the yellow with the brick in that direction, and then the opposite, the yellow in the brick on that side, each going in different directions. They look the same, but as soon as I turn this around, you'll see what I mean. I just flip that around, and you can see what I mean. Okay? So you're going to go ahead and sew the bricks and the yellows together, right sides together, matching up the corners on the entire piece, and sewing 1/4 inch down. When I get to this intersection, I kind of fold this back to make sure that these seams come to a point. All right, so if it was down a little bit, that would be not good, because you'd have that little gap and you wouldn't have a nice point when you opened it up. So you want to make sure you pull this up, get that right to the edge, and if you pull this over, you'll notice that you have evenly distributed the two pieces right into the point. So you know when you hit that with your needle and sew that, you're going to come out with a good intersection. All right, so let's go ahead and do that one time, because as you can see, I'm a little low on thread. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get it started. When I get to this point, I'm just going to fold this back, make sure I still have a nice point looking at my intersection right here. Put my finger on it so it doesn't move, and I'm just going to feed it right under the presser foot. All right, so when you press this open, you should have a really nice V, and it won't be offset on each other. And these all get pressed open. Another way to see how well, you know, your point is going to come out is when you open this up, this seam allowance should look like a V as well. shouldn't be offset at all, should be right in the center. So that's what we're aiming for. Each of these, so I'm going to sew that together. Then with this one more, I have the red and the coral. And then I have the coral and the red. And these are going to be sewn just like that. So as you can see, I have them here already sewn out, and then it's just a matter of placing your rows together exactly where they're going to go. So each of these is going to be set exactly, so that one's here, and then we have this one here, and then we have the red one. All the peach are going in a line through the block. Gotta take this one's at the bottom. The orange one is here. Again, I'm going to label all the colors and how they're laid out instead of just pictures. So I'm hoping that it'll be easier for you to keep track, because I know the black and white copies are a little difficult. All right, so we're just going to sew 3 together in rows, and then we're going to put our rows together. So it's called a ribbon. It's kind of like card trick, so if you don't get the fabrics quite in the right spot, it probably won't look like a ribbon. Not. I hope you enjoy it. It is September, and we'll see you soon to pick up your kit. Thank you for watching.